go this way. It will be Angel Pagan, a switch hitter, opening up, followed by Marco Scutero, and then Pablo Sandoval, another switch hitter. Buster Posey behind the plate, Hunter Pence in right field. Brandon Belt at first base. Andres Torres will be in left field, a switch hitter. Brandon Crawford, a left-hand batter at short, and the pitcher, Matt Cain. And on the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, the best they have. Kershaw with a remarkable earned run average against the San Francisco Giants. It is hard to believe, for instance, he won 2 and lost 3 last year with a brilliant earned run average of 1.6. And then when you look at his overall lifetime record of 8-4, you say, how did he ever lose a game? Because his lifetime earned run average against the Giants is 1.3. But it is the Giants and the Dodgers. That's always something special, whether it's the first, the middle, the last, or any in-between game of the year. For Kershaw, this will be his 3rd opening day assignment. And as you might very well know, he's very successful at home. He is 34-17 in his career at Dodger Stadium. And now Angel Pagan sets in, switch hitter batting right-handed, takes a strike, and we're underway. You might remember Angel Pagan from last year. He wore the Dodgers out. He hit .333, had 22 hits against them, including 6 multi-hit games. But this time he pops up a breaking ball. It'll be the second baseman, Mark Ellis, to put it away. We take a look at the Dodgers with the leather, and they shape up this way with Gonzalez, Mark Ellis, Justin Sellers, and Luis Cruz. The outfielders, Carl Crawford, Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis behind the plate. And on the mound, Clayton Kershaw, ready to work now on Marco Scutero. There were a lot of trades made last year in the major leagues. The Dodgers made a big trade. Well, what turned out to be one of the best trades ever is when the Giants were able to acquire the services of Marco Scutero. Scutero, the second baseman, comes in with all kinds of credentials, and the right-hand batter takes a strike. Scutero was the MVP of the league championship series against the St. Louis Cardinals. He wore him out. He went 14 for 28 in the league championship series. And he did much better against the Dodgers. Believe it or not, he hit .366 against the Dodgers, 26 hits. And in the August sweep of the Dodgers here, Scutero went 6 for 13. He was a tremendous acquisition. Slow breaking ball, but it misses. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike. We have won away the start of the ball game, a sensational opening day, and a pregame show here at Dodger Stadium. And finally, the appearance of all of the dignitaries, capped off by Sandy Koufax. 2-1 fastball is high. Ball 3, 3-1. Scutero's 5'10", about 185. For the Giants, of course, they won all kinds of awards last year. 3-1 pitch. Scutero looks at a strike. Posey was the MVP of the regular season. Melky Cabrera was the All-Star MVP. Pablo Sandoval was the MVP in the World Series. And the pitch to Scutero is swung on, popped up on the left side, shielding his eyes from the sun, waiting is Cruz to make the catch for the out. So 2 down on pop flies here in the first inning. And the batter is the always colorful Pablo Sandoval, certainly known up north as the Panda. Among other things, he had a couple of at-bats. Who would you say is the best pitcher in baseball today? Well, a lot of people would tell you that it would be Justin Verlander. Well, in game 1 of the World Series, Pablo met Justin. He takes high, ball 1. In game 1 of the World Series, in case you forget, all Pablo Sandoval does, triple his first at-bat against Verlander, homer his second at bat against Verlander. And a line drive base hit to center, sending Kershaw sprawling on the ground as it whizzed by. And just to complete the Sandoval story, his third at bat against Verlander was a home run. So Pablo, it's a low fastball at the knees for the base hit, and that will bring up the big man on the ball club in just about every imaginable way, and that would be Buster Posey. It doesn't get much bigger when you sign a 9-year, $167 million contract, and Buster has just done that. So he's going to be a giant a long time. Right-hand hitting catcher, takes high, ball one. So Pablo Sandoval at first. 2 out in the first inning, and here's Buster Posey. Posey last year led the league hitting against left-handers. The Kershaw comes back inside and falls behind 2-0. All Buster Posey did last year, he led the big leagues against left-hand pitching, batting .433. However, Kershaw has been able to quiet him. He's hitting .182 in his career against Clayton. So a big battle here with 2 out. 2-0 pitch, fastball foul back, and the count 2-1. Posey's best average, by the way, has come against not Kershaw, the left-hander, but Billingsley, the right-hander. He's hitting .462 against Chad. So we're in the first inning, no score. Sandoval at first with 2 out. Kershaw looks over at him. Now the left-hander to the plate, and Posey is lead on a good fastball in the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. For Buster Posey, all he did last year was win the batting championship when he hit .336 and the most valuable player award for the year. Posey with all of it, waiting quietly at the plate out of Leesburg, Georgia. And the pitch, breaking ball in the dirt, gets away, kicks off to the left, and Sandoval advances to second on the wild pitch. So Posey will be 26 years old. In fact, he just turned it, trying to pick up Sandoval. Give you an idea how tough Kershaw was last year. With runners in scoring position and 2 out, the opposition hit .101. So he's going to be sorely tested now against Buster Posey. Clayton out of his stretch, a look back at Sandoval. Curveball got him looking. Big number 2, Uncle Charlie as they call it. And the deuce took care of Posey. No runs, a hit, a man left at the end of half an inning, no score. the first inning. So now Don Mattingly's card has been posted, and we'll take a look at the names thereon. And it would start off with Carl Crawford in left field, left-hand hitter. Then you have Mark Ellis at second base. Matt Kemp hits third in center. Adrian Gonzalez, the left-hand hitter, at first base. Andre Efi, the left-hand hitting right fielder. Luis Cruz at third. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Justin Sellers, the long shot who made the starting lineup at short, batting eighth. And Clayton Kershaw, the pitcher. On the mound, Matt Cain. At 6'3" and 230, he has become in every way a big major league pitcher, and of course reached the zenith in June when he pitched a perfect game against the Houston Astros. He's a three-time All-Star, and the way the pattern has been going with him, the Giants usually win in games that he has started. The Giants over the last 3 years have won more than half of his starts. And Matt begins with a fastball strike to Carl Crawford. So one of the new Dodgers breaking in, left-hand hitter. Cain right back inside, almost nailed him on the right arm. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pablo Sandoval shortens up in on the grass at third, and the outfield split a bit, a gap in right center. The next pitch is down and away, and a 2-1 count. On deck, Mark Ellis and then Matt Kemp. No score, bottom of the first inning. Back with a fastball is Matt, and he's off the line, and the count runs 3-1. Carl Crawford out of Houston but lives in Scottsdale. 32 years old come August. And the 3-1 pitch, a one-hopper off the glove of first baseman Belt. The recovery is too late on the throw by Scudero. So Carl Crawford, an explosive line drive. Brandon Belt got his glove on it, but it kicked off, and we'll wait for the scoring. But we do know the Dodger leadoff man is aboard. It could very well be listed as too hot to handle, and we'll wait, and that's going to be it. A too hot to handle base hit. So Carl Crawford, who at one time in his career stole as many as 60 bases 4 years ago, so he could be a problem for Cain as Mark Ellis steps in now. Ellis, right-hand batter. Again, Sandoval up in on the grass at third. Throw to first. Crawford jumping back on the bag. So Cain hasn't seen much of Crawford, and Crawford wants to see the best move that Cain has without being picked off. Mark Ellis with 99 career home runs, and he takes off speed and high. 1 ball and no strikes. Ellis, of course, a fixture at second base, has been absolutely brilliant fielding over the last 8 years. Buster Posey takes a look over at Bruce Bochy. Carl Crawford standing on the bag. Brandon Belt holding the corner. Cain at the belt, set, ready, and deals, and it's inside and hits Ellis. So he almost hit Crawford. Now he does hit Ellis. And the Dodgers now hope to make Cain pay for his wildness, because coming up in order, Matt Kemp, Adrian Gonzalez, and Andre Efi. What makes that trio so tough is, number one, the thought of Matt Kemp in the month of April. Matt Kemp over the last few years has been unbelievable in April. Checking in now against Cain with 2 on and nobody out. Matt checks, holding the bat high up behind his right ear. Cain set, looks back at Crawford. Now Matt delivers and slides one in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Matt, the big boy out of Oklahoma, 6'2", 225. In April last year, he hit .417 with 12 home runs and 25 runs batted in. The strike one pitch on the way, a big swing, and it's fouled, and that gets a bit of Buster Posey. and he has to walk that off. No balls and 2 strikes, the count. The Dodgers are hoping, and they're giving Posey a little chance to catch his breath behind the plate. The Dodgers are hoping that Kemp can come back to a close 2011 series. That's when he was on. Unbelievable. So Matt checking in. 0-2 the count. 2 on, nobody out. First inning, no score. Kemp at the belt and takes it high. 1-2 the count. As far going head to head, Matt Cain and Matt Kemp. Kemp is hitting just .217 against him. He has 10 hits and 1 home run. But trouble after that for Cain with Gonzalez and Ethier. The 1-2 pitch on the way, and that's taken low and away on a check swing. No swing, says Paul Emmel. And we have a 2-2 count. We have a veteran crew. Gary Darling is the plate umpire, starting his 26th year. Paul Emmel, 13.5 years at first. Bruce Dreckman, 13.5 years at second. Clint Fagan is the rookie, but he's been a pro umpire since 2005. 2-2 to Matt Kemp. Cain at the belt, deep in deliberation, looks back at Crawford, now comes to the plate, and it's low, a slider to go 3-2. Of course, Matt Kemp, being the home run hitter, power hitter that he is, has struck out as many as 170 times in a career. So it's questionable that the Dodgers would run him 3-2, especially since both Gonzalez and Kemp hit Kemp pretty well. So let's see. Cain is ready. Crawford away from second, Ellis from first, and the 3-2 pitch on the way. Cain delivers, swung on, and fouled off to the right, out of play. As you can imagine, a capacity crowd, and the ballpark is absolutely brilliant. The magnificent scoreboards. Eric Hansen and his crew has done a sensational job on the greens with a big LA in center field. And our congratulations to Janet Marie Smith. An absolutely incredible job what she has done here at Dodger Stadium. It is indeed a whole new blue. Kemp in and out of the box. Crawford taking a pretty good lead at second. Ellis at first. Nobody out. No score. First inning. Cain delivers, and it is fouled away again. Matt takes a little walk after that. I think that pitch bothered him. Didn't quite have that good cut. But like all good hitters, he got a piece of it, and he's still alive. In the Dodger lineup today, we mentioned that Andre Ethier and Adrian Gonzalez have hit Cain well. So let's see what Kemp does. Cain ready as they go mat to mat. Right-hander comes back, fastball foul back, and the duel continues. Adrian Gonzalez, in his career against Matt Cain, and Adrian's in the on-deck circle, he has 19 hits, and he has hit .311 against Cain. Andre Ethier, behind Gonzalez, has hit .456 with 26 hits. Matt Kemp has not hit Matt Cain well, and this is a 9-pitch at-bat. Cain ready, here he comes, swung on, fouled away again. Coming into this game, Cain had given up just 10 hits to Matt Kemp, .217 batting average, and Kemp nailed him once for a home run. So it's been a 10-pitch at bat, and the runners holding at first and second. No score, first inning. Matt Cain at the belt. The right-hander deals off speed, fouled away again. That was low and in. Matt hit it inside out, sliced it back into the crowd. Matt Cain, in his first 14 games against the Dodgers, was 0-8. He looked like a patsy. Boy, did he turn things around. In his next 9, he was 4-0. And he's become one of the top pitchers in the league. 3-2 pitch to Matt Kemp. Cain at the belt. Ready, here he comes. Swung on and missed. So a long at bat. Matt Kemp strikes out. And now we will see about head-to-head Gonzalez and Cain. You know, one of the highlight things as you look at Adrian Gonzalez stepping in, for the Giants last year, they did not have a lot of power at all. Nevertheless, they were the world champions. It's a surprise, but Sandoval and company, they hit only 103 home runs last year and won the world championship. Gonzalez takes way off the plate, ball one, 1-0. Gonzalez 19 hits with a .311 batting average. One thing that's happening to Matt Cain, that was a lot of pitches, 11 pitches and a half a dozen foul balls by Matt Kemp. Now the next one is a little low. So Cain is behind 2-0, and his pitch count begins to mount up now. He's made 20 pitches, and he's in the first inning with 1 out. If you joined us late, Sandoval singled with 2 out, but was left when Posey struck out. Dodgers had a single by Crawford, Ellis hit by a pitch, and Matt Kemp has just struck out. 2-0 pitch, and there goes Crawford. The pitch is outside, the throw to third. He's out at third. Carl Crawford trying to steal third and is nailed on a great throw by Buster Posey to Pablo Sandoval. Crawford gets up after being called out, slaps his hands together in frustration. And the count now 3-0. So Carl Crawford back in the dugout. Posey makes another great play. Now the 3-0 pitch, and that's high, ball 4. So the Dodgers have first and second. They could have easily had the bases loaded with 1 out. And Crawford sitting back in the dugout thinking about it as Kemp comes over to pep him up a little bit. Meanwhile, the #1 hitter against Matt Cain is now up there with 2 out and 2 on, and that is Andre Ethier. Ethier with 26 hits and a .456 batting average against Matt Cain. Cain set, looks at the runners, and the first pitch to Andre is taken in for a strike, 0-1. So the Dodgers thought they might be able to run a bit on Matt Cain. The success rate in his career is about 66%. But Crawford was burned at third, which really stops the rally. Strike 1 pitch way off the plate, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hitting behind Andre Ethier is Luis Cruz. Ethier back up and waiting. Cain right foot on the rubber, staring down to Posey. With Ellis and Gonzalez, no real speed out there now. And the pitch is waved at and missed. Pitch up and away. And a 1-2 count on Andre Ethier. So Matt Cain working hard, but trying to fight his way out of a jam, striking out Kemp, and then getting Crawford trying to steal third base. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Andre Ethier. Cain ready, here he comes, poked foul off to the left upstairs. Still 1-2. So Andre Ethier with the count against him. Looks down towards Tim Wallach, who has his back to him, trying to shepherd Mark Ellis at second. The next one to Ethier in the dirt. Blocked nicely by Posey. And we have deuces wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out and 2 on. First inning, no score. Matt Cain trying to bull his way out of the inning now. Ethier, quiet bat, waiting at the plate. And the 2-2 pitch, low and away, ball 3. So the Dodgers get a slight edge. The runners will be going with 2 out. Remember, he went 3-0 to Matt Kemp and went 3-2 and eventually struck him out. All right, Ellis and Gonzalez at the ready. And the 3-2 pitch. Runners go. Ethier check swing, strike 3 on a bad ball. So Ethier and Kemp strike out in the first inning. The Dodgers possibly running themselves out of an inning. And at the end of 1, no score. Rush and then leaving men aboard. 2 fine pitchers today. Matt Cain, a 16-game winner against Clayton Kershaw, each man with a brilliant earned run average last year. And it should be a pitching duel, although it started off on a shaky note. 29 pitches made by Matt Cain, only 16 by Clayton Kershaw. So we go to the second inning. Hunter Pence, Brandon Belt, and then Andres Torres. Belt hitting third in the lineup. Pence with a big swing and a miss. Hunter, of course, always swings from the heels. 6'4", 215-pounder, and swings and fouls the pitch away. Pence, of course, started with Houston, went to Philadelphia, and now wound up with a World Championship club. He is 1 for 23 against Clayton Kershaw. 1 for 23. Right-hand batter, wide open stance, ready to jump out of his shoes. And the pitch to Hunter swung on and fouled away. So Pence, constant motion up there at the plate. One of the rare fellows, big, but chokes up on the bat. And the strike 2, overhand curve, little roll at first, a feed, and Kershaw to the bag. And the nice handoff from Gonzalez. So 3-1 if you're scoring. Adrian to Clayton. And the batter will be Brandon Belt. Of course, you have a Gold Glove down there at first base in Adrian Gonzalez. So Brandon Belt, a left-hand hitter coming up. And he's one of those fellows who carries a great glove as well as a good bat. And you could certainly mark it down that he might win a Gold Glove certainly in the future. Big first baseman, 6'5", and Brandon tied up on a pitch up and in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Like so many, when he was in high school, he was also a highly touted no-hitter and threw no-hitters. Next one a strike, and the count 0-2. Brandon, committed to the University of Texas, then rejected an offer from the Red Sox and stayed in school, and eventually the Giants signed him 4 years ago. He takes a look at a pitch off the corner, and the count 1-2. Brandon Belt, last year 7 home runs, 56 runs batted in. Kershaw working quickly, comes right back, overhand curveball to strike him out. The same pitch that nailed Posey in the first inning. So Clayton, with 2 strikeouts, has allowed 1 hit. And the batter now, Andres Torres. Andres Torres hitting less than 100 against Kershaw. He has just 2 hits in his career against him. Clayton rocks and turns, left-hander ready, and the fastball in for a strike. So after you see that big, slow Uncle Charlie curveball, when you're in the on-deck hitter, and then you get the express first pitch. Strike 1 pitch, breaking ball, lifted to shallow center. Kemp comes up and makes the catch. So the Giants go quickly in the second inning, and at the end of an inning and a half, the Giants nothing and the Dodgers nothing. And Dodgers and Giants, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance receive their very own Dodger hooded sweatshirt, compliments of Coca-Cola. Stay warm at the stadium and at home by purchasing your tickets today at Dodgers.com/promotions. Well, if you're wondering why Carl Crawford would try to steal third base in the first inning, you have to remember that Matt Cain surrendered the highest number of stolen bases in the league last year, 19. The breaking ball to Luis Cruz off the plate, ball 1. Now, another thing the league did against Cain, they bunted against him. Sandoval is deep at third, Cruz full swing, and a high pop fly. Posey and Belt's coming in a hurry, and the big first baseman at 6'5" took charge, and Posey said, "Be my guest." So Cruz fouls out. 1 away in the second inning. And A.J. Ellis coming up. A.J. was 3 for 9 against Matt Cain last year. A.J. rarely, if ever, swings at the first pitch. So we just put that out there to see what happens on this first pitch. Cain into the windup, delivers, takes a strike. Well, there you go. They broke it all down last year. A.J. Ellis will swing at the first pitch maybe 4% of the time. That's all. So he's up there a long time. Strike 1 pitch on the way, another look, and this one is low and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. A.J. Ellis sees a lot of pitches. So does Mark Ellis in the number 2 slot. 1 ball and 1 strike. Matt Cain back with a breaking ball, grounded to third. Pablo is on it. The ambidextrous third baseman throws him out. 2 down. Yeah, they say that Sandoval could throw the ball accurately from third to first or from the outfield to home, both left-handed and right. So 2 out, and here is Justin Sellers. If there was a long shot in spring training making the Dodger ball club, it would be Justin Sellers. And among other things, Sellers came down with a bad toe, had to have the nail removed. He has a look, and it's a strike. We have an equipment problem up here. Just a moment.
He's going to the spare. Going to the spare. Open the spare.
0-1 the count. That's much better. Sellers tries to time a breaking ball, hits it late and foul down the right field line and back into the stands. We're in the bottom of the 2nd inning, no score. There was something about the Giants last year. You had to realize they were going to go all the way, and in retrospect, they were only the 4th team in history to do what they did. It seemed like everybody won an award. The pitch very high to Justin, 1 and 2. For instance, Posey, well, he was the MVP in the regular season. Melky Cabrera, while he was with the Giants, was the MVP in the All-Star game. The 1-2 pitch is high. Then, of course, the World Series, Pablo Sandoval just ran away with all of that. And as we mentioned earlier, Scutaro was the MVP in the League Championship Series. So they have a glistening personal trophy case this year as Sellers lifts one foul behind the plate. Posey comes back, one-hands it, and that'll be that. So Cain does a complete about face. The Dodgers go down 1-2-3, and at the end of 2, no score. With a full house here at Dodger Stadium, as to be expected, of course, on opening day. Looking back for Bruce Bochy, it was a very pleasant year. He's been a manager 18 years, and certainly winning the World Series 2 out of his last 3. It was painful for Don Mattingly. The Dodgers tried to catch them, was swept in August, and wound up 8 games back. But they both turned the pages, and we start the year anew. Matt Cain made only 10 pitches in that inning, and now Brandon Crawford will start it off against Clayton Kershaw. Brandon, left-hand batter, backs off a breaking ball for a strike, and they count 0-1. 2 years ago, Brandon collected his first major league hit, and it happened to be a grand slam home run against the Milwaukee Brewers. Brandon takes high and inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. It's a nice note about Brandon. His mom and dad have had season tickets since back in the Candlestick days, and I'm not sure where it is, but when you go to AT&T Park, there is a brick somewhere in the edifice. There's a brick, and the brick has Brandon Crawford's name on it. It was bought by his mom and dad, and so his name will live forever up there at the park. 2-1 the count to Brandon Crawford. A shot up the middle going to his right is Mark Ellis. Turns back to get it over to Adrian, and just like that, 1 away in the 3rd inning. Giants and the Dodgers. What a remarkable rivalry down through the years. What a fiery rivalry. Probably the one big difference, just trying to think out loud, not just the separation from the boroughs of Brooklyn and Manhattan, and now the separation of almost 500 miles between here and San Francisco. Kane takes ball 1. But free agency changed a lot of things. The 1-0 pitch on the way, line drive, and almost knocked Justin Sellers down, but he stayed with it. So Matt Cain, a bullet to short, and we have 2 down. And the reason we say that free agency changed the rivalry a bit, in the old days, you would have minor league systems going against each other. The players would start in the old days, Class D, and they would fight each other from Class D all the way to the major leagues. And by the time they got to be facing each other in the major leagues, they were so sick and tired and fed up with each other, you had yourself a lot of battles between the 2 teams. Now, of course, players come over who have no idea about a Giant-Dodger rivalry. I mean, Gonzalez, he knows all about San Diego and Boston and the Yankees maybe, but not Giant-Dodger, and you go through both lineups now, and that's probably the single biggest difference. But even back in the 70s, where Dodger players, they would hate Giant players from El Paso or from wherever. That's when the rivalry was something. The strike 2 pitch on the way, a comebacker, but an awkward Kershaw falls down, picks the ball up, and can't make a play. Clayton was all arms and legs and kneecaps, and he went down like a folding chair. It'll be a base hit. So a 2-out single for Angel Pagan on a ball that Kershaw normally would handle. By the time he did straighten up, go after it, it looked like his right foot slipped out from under him. He couldn't make the play, then went back on the grass and fell down again. So it'll take him a little while to put all the pieces together. And now here is Nick Scutero checking in with Pagan at first, and Pagan likes to run, although Kershaw is very, very effective against stolen bases. Scutero, right-hand batter, in and out of the box. Two out. We're in the 3rd inning. No score. Throw to first. Back to the bag is Pagan. Scutero had 71 at-bats against the Dodgers last year. And you know what? He struck out all of 4 times. 4 times in 71 at-bats. So he's a contact hitter. In fact, he only struck out 14 times in the 50-some-odd games he played with the Giants. He takes his strike in at the knuckles, and the count 0-1 to Marco Scutero. Scutero 5'10", about 185. Kershaw very deliberate out of that exaggerated stretch. And the strike 1 pitch is instead a short throw over to first. Clayton Kershaw against base stealers had about a break-even percentage. That's about it. So he's been really tough on runners, and he is watching as he comes now back to the plate, high and inside to Scudero. No score. We've had a couple of men on base. Dodgers threatened in the first inning. Angel Pagan last year stole 29 bases. He has stolen as many as 37 for the Mets, so he can run. 1 ball and 1 strike. There he goes. The pitch is high. The throw is right on the money. Oh, he was out from me to you. Perfect throw by A.J. Ellis after Kershaw had Pagan pretty well tied up. And at the end of 2.5 innings, no score. Angel Pagan nailed on a perfect throw, a high fastball, and he got it down. Did A.J. Ellis to Mark Ellis, and Pagan hammered easily. Tried to tuck away 1 foot and pull the other, but he got tagged on the extended leg, so the ball was down there a long time. Another fine play by A.J. Ellis. So A.J. waiting as Mark Ellis will be the hitter in a little while, and Clayton Kershaw will start it off. Kershaw, Crawford, and then Mark Ellis. Kane back with a fastball low, 1 ball and 1 strike. We mentioned when Matt Kane first started in the league, he was 0-8 against the Dodgers. He just could not beat them. But he's the other way around now that he's become a veteran, 4-0 with a good ERA of about 1. Of course, there was a time in his rookie year you knew that Matt Kane was going to be something special. Fastball on the corner, that does it. Down goes Kershaw on 3, and we have 1 away. There was a time in his rookie year Matt Kane put together 6 consecutive starts in which he allowed 1 or no runs. Now, the only pitcher in the last 50 years to better that streak did it 7 times in a row in 1981. Altogether, Fernando Valenzuela. The pitch in there to Carl Crawford. Crawford hit a shot off the glove of Brandon Belt for a base hit. Went to second when Ellis was hit by a pitch, and then tried to steal third and was nailed. But again, last year, Kane gave up 19 stolen bases, so they were thinking about stealing going into the game. Matt Reddy, and the right-hander, comes back with a pitch in the dirt, pushed out in front of the plate. 1-2 the count. Another thing about Kane, like any good pitcher, and he's working on a good hitter, but if he gets 2 strikes on you, you are usually in a lot of trouble. That necessarily does not tag on to most. Off-speed pitch away. They've broken it all down, like 0-2 against Kane, the hitters 135, 1-2, 145, 2-2, 189. Back with a pitch, chased and missed. Bad ball. Crawford went after it, and down he goes. So Kane, who struggled in the first inning, made 29 pitches, hit a batter, walked 1, but struck out 2, now has settled down to be the fine pitcher we all know he is. Matt, both feet on the rubber, turns ready and delivers, and the first pitch in for a strike to Mark Ellis, who, as we mentioned, like AJ, rarely will go after that first pitch. Kane ready, and the strike 1 pitch, and that's high. I always thought a couple of years ago we would be seeing Tim Lindsay and Clayton Kershaw matchups, you know, year in and year out. It was like Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson or one of those things. Pitch swung on and fouled away. But I have an idea now that since Lincecum has dropped back in the starting rotation, certainly Matt Kane can be considered the #1 pitcher. So now you have to figure there'll be a lot of meetings between Kane and Kershaw. The 1-2 pitch on the way, taken inside, almost hit him. Remember, he hit Mark in the first inning. So Matt with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Kane looks down to Posey, turns, right-hander comes back, high again, ball 3. If you went all the way back to 1900, there were only 8 giant relief rookie pitchers who have led the team in wins. And in 2006, Kane joined the club, a club that was once started by Christy Mathewson. 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and he strikes out the side. So Matt Kane is certainly back to the pitcher we expected to see. He has now struck out 5, and at the end of 3, no score. The roof here at Dodger Stadium. You have numbers of some of the immortals, such as 32, whose number and name, well, was front and center today. Sandy Koufax had the honor of throwing out the first pitch through a curveball, and like all good curves, he bounced it. Oral Hershiser was at the other end. A pleasant moment of opening day. Now Scudero, followed by Sandoval and Posey. No score. The Giants, no runs, 2 hits. And the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, a single by Carl Crawford. Fastball on the outside corner. 1-1 the count to Marco Scudero. We were talking before about how the league runs on Kane. The Dodgers tried to, and it didn't work. Off speed for a strike. 1-2. The league does not run very much, nor do they try to run against Kershaw. Marco back up. 1-2 the count. Slow curveball got him looking. He gave him the whole store of off-speed pitches, and Scudero looks back at Kershaw as he walks away. I guess that's the biggest tribute to a pitcher, when a hitter looks back as if to say, how do you get away with that kind of junk? Well, it wasn't junk. It was Clayton Kershaw. 1 out in the 4th inning. The 3rd strikeout for Clayton Kershaw. Kane has 5. And here's Pablo. Single to center. First ball swinging, fouls it away. Pablo is directly opposite an A.J. Ellis or a Mark Ellis. He's ready to swing halfway up to home plate. He is also called a bad ball hitter. But it's pretty hard to be a bad ball hitter when you hit in the 270s and 280s. He takes a strike, and the count 0-2. In the World Series, when he was the MVP, well, all he did was hit .500, 3 home runs in Game 1, a double, 4 RBIs. He had 16 at-bats in the 4-game series. Pablo, 5'11", and you tell me, he's listed at 240. All right, maybe so. From Venezuela. Cracked his bat, ground ball gobbled up nicely by Luis Cruz. The Cruz takes a base hit away from Sandoval, and the batter will be Buster Posey. You know, be sure to bring the kids to Dodger Stadium Sunday at 1:10. Dodgers and Pirates. First 15,000 ticketed kids 14 and under receive their own Matt Kemp replica jersey. Compliments of Dreyer's Grand Ice Cream. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Well, here's Buster. Struck out in the 1st inning. First ball swinging, a chopper to 3rd. Cruz backhand throws him out. So down go the Giants, and at the end of 3.5 innings, no score. Fourth inning, and it's time for today's prime ticket Twitter poll. If you like to have the WBC play in the spring every year, tweet hashtag WBC yes or WBC no. Keep tuning in to see our results. Do you like having the World Baseball Cup played in the spring? Meanwhile, Matt Kemp, Adrian Gonzalez, and Andre Ethier. And a high fly ball to right center, but Pagan is at the other end of it. One away.
First baseman, number 23,
Two great organizations, the Giants and the Dodgers, moving to the West Coast. You might be interested to know how they produced since 1958. As far as pennants are concerned, the Dodgers have won 9 and the Giants 5. World Series victories, the Dodgers 5, the Giants 2. MVPs, the Dodgers 4 and the Giants 10. And Cy Young Award winners, Dodgers 9, Giants 3. So they each have accomplished a great deal since coming over to the West Coast. Big swing, 1-1 to Adrian Gonzalez. Remember Gonzalez's debut last year, first time at bat, and he hit that towering fly ball just inside the right field foul pole for the home run. A great way to break in. 15 Dodgers have homered in their debut. The very first one was Big Frank Howard. Two and one. Line drive, base hit to center. So Adrian Gonzalez, a single to center for the Dodgers, the second hit. Nice easy stroke, taking that fastball that seemed to start to run away from him, and he just went it. So that'll bring up Ethier, who normally hits Kane very well, but struck out in the first inning. No score in the fourth inning. Off speed for a strike. 0-1. They're holding Gonzalez. Adrian doesn't do much base stealing. That's a strike. So Ethier's in a hole now. No balls and 2 strikes. Adrian Gonzalez had 2 stolen bases last year for the Dodgers, none for the Red Sox. He had 1 in 2011. Let's put it this way. Since 2006, Adrian Gonzalez has 4 stolen bases. One and two. 2-2. Ethier, as we mentioned, first time up, has done very well against Matt Cain. 26 base hits, including a home run. Waiting behind him, Luis Cruz. Went after a ball away, hits it to the hole. Crawford, the long throw is too late. Ethier going after a ball away. It's out of the strike zone, but he hits it to the hole. Crawford double clutched, and that was the difference. Brandon has a wonderful arm, but the double clutch gave Ethier the step, and it goes as a base hit. So the Dodgers, first and second, 1 out here in the fourth inning, no score. They had 3 runners reach in the first inning and failed to score. Remember, they like to bunt on Kane, but a full swing pop foul. Sandoval coming over and makes the play. So we have 2 down. And the batter, A.J. Ellis. By the way, the great aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we've learned making tires that go the distance inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Well, certainly Matt Cain is more driven to get out of a jam. He did so in the first inning, breezed through the next stretch. He actually retired 8 in a row until Gonzalez singled. So 2 on, 2 out. Remember, Matt Kemp led off with an out, so they have to change the scoreboard. And it's a strike to A.J. Ellis. So both Kemp and Cruz struck out, and they're now adjusting it. Thank you. Gonzalez at second, Ethier at first with 2 out. No score, 4th inning. Fastball. 0-2 the count to A.J. Rounded to third to Sandoval in the second inning. Made a great throw to nail Pagan in the third. No balls, 2 strikes. Fastball popped in the air. Belt, the big first baseman, puts it away. So the Dodgers get a couple of hits, nothing else, and at the end of 4, no score. Dodger Baseball on Prime Ticket is brought to you by the Hyundai Game Changer event going on now, only at your Southern California Hyundai dealers. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink the possible. By Jack in the Box, come in today, try the new Hot Mess Burger, loaded with spicy jalapenos, onion rings, and gooey pepper jack cheese. And by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. CarMax, start here. First up is Hunter Pence, and he hits a fly ball to deep left. Crawford at the scoreboard to make the catch. So Hunter Pence almost hit one out. Instead, a long out to left field, and the batter will be Brandon Belt. Clayton Kershaw and company know a couple of things. One of them is they're in for a dogfight with Matt Cain. The Dodgers have had 4 men in scoring position already. Not only are they 0 for 4, they've been unable to hit the ball out of the infield. That's a strike. So Matt Cain started off wobbly, a single, a hit batter, and a walk. Then a couple of more base hits in the fourth inning, but that's all he's given up. Kershaw, meanwhile, has allowed 2 hits. Slow breaking ball. They look at third. Strike, says Clint Fagan. Big Brandon Belt at 6'5". First baseman we mentioned earlier. A fine fielding first baseman as well as a pretty good hitter. On the hands, little pop fly. Luis Cruz in fair ground. 2 down. Kershaw retired 5 in a row, then had himself get untracked on the comebacker hit by Pagan. Since then, he's retired 5 more. And here is Andres Torres with the Giants, and left them the worst time. He left them in 2011, went to the Mets and lost out on the championship, and now he's back. Better late than never. Ground ball. Cruz is there. That's that. Another quick inning. Clayton Kershaw now in the groove. Is retired 6 in a row, and at the end of 4.5, no score. Remember, Monday the 15th, first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a Jackie Robinson, Don Newcomb, and Roy Campanella statue presented by the film 42 in theaters April 12th. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Boy, I would love to have that one. Here's Justin Sellers, fouled out in the second inning, and promptly lifts one into shallow right field. A duo. It will be Hunter Pence. He is fun to watch. You couldn't exactly call that smooth and easy, but the result is fine. Hunter will take it. He was fighting the sun as well as Scutaro going out there, so it was kind of an awkward lunge, but he held on to it. Yeah, I'm tired of looking at the smooth players. Give me a guy who once in a while falls down. 1 out. And here's Clayton Kershaw. Strike. Kershaw struck out in the third inning. That's when Matt Cain struck out the side. Kershaw, Crawford, and Ellis. That's on the corner. So Cain, who was struggling in the first inning, is a totally different pitcher. Meanwhile, Kershaw has been very consistent. Ball one. So now they're both very much on their game. No score, and that's what we expected. A real push and shove today. See the pitch count from 29. Though Clayton fooled, down he goes. 6 strikeouts for Matt Cain. And the batter will be Carl Crawford. Crawford pulled the ball, hit a shot off the glove of Brandon Belt. Exploded out into right field for a base hit. Got to second after Ellis was hit by a pitch. Tried to steal third and was thrown out. Much to his chagrin, he hits a hopper at Scutaro. So they're done, and at the end of a quick 5, no score. Hyun-Jin Ryu will make his debut for the Dodgers. He'll go up against Madison Bumgarner. And the final game on Wednesday night, and it'll be Josh Beckett and Tim Lincecum. With that, let's go back to this one. No score in the ball game as we go on to the 6th inning, and Brandon Crawford. Foul ball, 0-1. Crawford, Cain, and Pagan in that order. Check swing foul. Foul tipped into Ellis mitt. Crawford, who went to school here at UCLA, picked up by the Giants in the 4th round back in 2008. In the dirt. The Cardinals had a good scrambling infielder, Daniel Descalso, and he and Crawford pretty much grew up together, playing against each other starting when they were 5 years old. And they wound up playing against each other when the Giants played the Cardinals. Tried to time that breaking ball, and down he goes. So that is the 4th strikeout for Clayton Kershaw. It is the 10th strikeout in the game. Here's the upcoming schedule, just to picture it in your mind. 2 more with the Giants. Pittsburgh on the weekend, as Thursday's an open date. Dodgers go on the road to San Diego and Arizona and come home to play San Diego. And a strike to Kane. Matt hit the ball hard, almost knocked Justin Sellers down in the 3rd inning. 0-2. So, boy, at this stage, the pitchers are certainly in command. And I'm sure almost everybody here expected just that. Fastball. So he had them all set up 0-2, and the fastball a little high. Breaking ball missed. Beautiful day when the game time it was announced. Temperature was 63 degrees, and we have more sunshine and more puffy white clouds up overhead. 2-2. Fastball got him looking. 5 strikeouts. I think the biggest strikeout so far for Clayton Kershaw was in the 1st inning. Sandoval had singled. He was wild pitch to second. Buster Posey came up, and I mean, he froze him with a big overhand curveball, and the crowd roared as Posey went down. So now the batter is Pagan, popped up and singled on a comebacker when Kershaw had his foot slip out from under him. So Pagan 1 for 2. Tried to steal, and A.J. Ellis shot him down. Pagan had a rare thing happen. The date was July the 2nd. It was his birthday, playing in the big leagues, and he is the first player to hit 2 home runs on his birthday. He did a lot more than that to wreck the Dodgers last year. Nice gobble by Sellers. Well, he's electrifying down there at short. So that's 9 in a row retired by Clayton Kershaw, and at the end of 5 1/2, no score. By the way, time now to check in our results for our Prime Ticket Twitter poll of the day. Do you like having the WBC play in the spring? 46 yes, 54 no. And seated in the Dodger dugout, unable to play today, a player from the WBC, Hanley Ramirez. The New York Mets lost the services of David Wright. It's a big question. They gambled. Mark Ellis taking a couple, 1 ball and 1 strike, hit by a pitch and struck out. 1-1. Lifted off the line, a trio of Giants. Pence lost it in the sun, and into second base goes Mark Ellis. I don't know if Hunter Pence is wearing sunglasses, but they're on top of the bill of his cap, and as he was running under that, he held up his hand to try and get some shade. Watch the hand come up right there. So if the glasses were down, I would assume he'd make the catch. Of course, the question is, a lot of players really don't like sunglasses. Most of them keep them under the bill of the cap and then with a little spring. But that's kind of a tough way to, you just can't get at them when you're wearing sunglasses above the bill. So that could be a huge play, and is. Dodgers get a sun double. And the batter now is Matt Kemp. So the big break goes to the Dodgers. Ball 1. Kemp has struck out, flied to center. Although he has been a wonderful April hitter, he has not done much against Matt Cain. Kemp struck out with 2 on in the first inning, flied out, leading off in the 4th. Way 2-0. I'm just wondering, can we see Hunter Pence for a split second without messing up the telecast? See that? Yeah. The glasses are down. Thought so. A little late. But then again, it's easy to sit up here. It looks like a much easier game from up here. And a strike. 2-1 to Matt. No score. 6th inning. Dodgers had a man cut down trying to steal third. We have not had a runner at third. And now the Dodgers get a huge break. Two and 2 to Matt. Matt 0 for 2 against Kemp today. To bring that up to date, he is 10 for 48, though he's barely above 200. Little slider pulled to third. Sandoval, a nice pick, bounce throw, and a nice catch by Belt. Giants did a good job of covering third to make sure that Ellis couldn't move over. One away. Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Adrian Gonzalez walked in the first inning and stroked a single to center. Runners in scoring position, and that's where the money is. And there were the money players. Craig, Gonzalez, LaCroix, Jasso, and Mauer. And here is Adrian right now trying to move Ellis. So the Dodgers got a big break on the sun double to right. See if they can cash it in. 0-1. Andre Ethier waiting on deck. No runs, 2 hits for the Giants. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Last year, the Giants won 5 of 9 here and 5 of 9 at home. So they beat the Dodgers 10 of the 18. Two and one. Adrian, followed by Andre Ethier. '16-game winner, Matt Cain, who pitched a perfect game last year in June against Houston. 2 and 1. Fastball. Couldn't get around on it. 2 and 2. Cain, as you can imagine, throws hard. Clayton Kershaw resting in the shade as Cain center stage. Fastball got him. I think Gonzalez felt that the pitch might have been low or inside, but he didn't agree with plate umpire Gary Darling. It died by the time it got to the catcher's mitt, but that's not the point. Where was it as it passed the hitter? Anyway, it's a strike. Down he goes. 2 out. 7 strikeouts for Matt Cain, because that's a huge out. And here's Ethier. Struck out, single to short. Fastball on the outside corner. Matt Cain is 6'3" and 230 out of Dothan, Alabama. Oh and 1. Matt, not only a leader on the mound, he is also the player representative for the Giants. One ball and 1 strike. Fastball. 2 and 1 to count. Matt will be a Giant for a while. A year ago, April the 2nd, he signed a 5-year deal. And that was an extension. So he'll keep with the Giants through 2017. And there's even a chance for 2018. Off speed, dropped in for a strike. For Matt Cain, he has a good sinking fastball. He also has a cutter. And then he has a curveball and a changeup, plus the slider. And a very good deceptive motion. 2 and 2. Off the corner with the sinking fastball. 3 and 2. Luis Cruz on deck. Matt throws very hard. They clock his changeup around 86, 88 because his fastball can get up to 95. 3 and 2. Strike 3 call. Fastball. Dodgers done in the 6th. No score. The pitchers had done a complete turnabout. To give you an idea, in the first inning alone, Kane and Kershaw combined for 6 3-ball counts. Since the first inning, they've combined for 2. So they're on the beam. 7th inning, no score. The Dodgers, of course, are ready to eat their gloves or saw their bats in half, whatever you want to say, because the Dodgers are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. And we're in the 7th inning, no score. Big bouncer to Mark Ellis. That takes care of Scudero, who goes 0 for 3. I would think one of the considerations today would be the pitch count. And you saw that coming into this inning, Kershaw had made only 65 pitches. Kane had made 93. Remember, first game out. Ideal weather conditions, however. Pablo Sandoval single, grounded out, and strokes one to center. Kemp's going to have to play it on a bounce. So Sandoval comes up with his second hit, 2 of the 3. Bruce Bochy checking in, his captain and leader up there now. One veteran catcher, now a manager, and the other just starting his career as a catcher. But considering Posey signed a 9-year deal, you have to believe he's going to play a lot of first base later on. Sandoval stole 1 base last year, and he stole 2 the year before. But they're holding him on. And they're going to make him to retreat. You know, you look at Buster Posey, 6'1", 215 pounds. Nice weight, nice height. But then you consider the position. Catcher, line drive, backhanded by Cruz. No play at first. Whoa, what a job by Luis Cruz. I mean, that was a blur. It was like catching an echo. And somehow he caught it. The point I was going to make about Buster Posey winning the batting championship as a catcher is really rare. I mean, you have to go back to Bubbles Hargrave, and we all remember Bubbles. And then you may remember Ernie Lombardi. And that's it. What a great play by Luis Cruz, 2 down. And here is Hunter Pence. High fly ball to center, but Kemp has the play. All right. Thanks to the line drive caught. No runs, a hit, a man left. At the end of 6.5 innings, there remains no score. And the crowd now will be asked to stand for God Bless America and Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Artist and star of The Voice, accompanied by Nancy B. Won't you please welcome Chris Mann.
Baseball on Prime Ticket is brought to you by AT&T Uverse. It's TV like you've never seen before. That's AT&T.com/TV. Rethink possible. By Kia. To learn more, visit Kia.com. And by El Pollo Loco. Seventh inning, no score in the ball game. The Dodgers coming up, and a new man on the mound. It was only speculation on my part, thinking about the fact it's the first game of the year and the pitch count. And after 93 pitches, they figure that's enough for Matt Cain. So George Contos out of Illinois takes over. Went to school at Northwestern University. And Contos will be facing Cruz, A.J. Ellis, and Sellers. Meanwhile, Matt Cain turned in a solid job. 8 strikeouts, only one scare when Pence forgot to have his sunglasses down. Worked his way out of the first inning, and Matt Cain continues to be one of the top pitchers in the league. Luis Cruz made that fine defensive play on the ball hit by Posey. With the bat, he has fouled out twice to the corners, to Belt and to Sandoval. Contos, big man, 6'3", 215 pounds. Curveball pop, and it's Belt. So Cruz pops it up to go 0 for 3. Now, if 93 pitches were enough to take Matt Cain out of the game, the pitch count for Clayton Kershaw has to be studied. He made only 6 pitches in the 5th inning, and he made only 6 pitches in the 7th inning. So he's made only 71 pitches. So as Kershaw rests, Cain is out of the game, and we're scoreless, bottom of the 7th. Every now and then a game lives up to the pregame chatter, and the chatter figured to be Cain and Kershaw, a pitching duel, and that's been it, without a doubt. 0-2. A.J. Ellis grounded to third, popped to first, 0 for 2. Dodgers are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, though it's a note of frustration for them and a tribute to Cain. Bounce that. Boy, did he want to get something extra on it. George Contos, as a tot under the care of his Greek-born grandparents while his mom and dad worked. So he supplemented his public school education in Chicago by attending Greek school. And George said he spoke Greek before he could speak English. 1-2. 2-2. He had an outstanding career in high school, then went on to Northwestern, but struggled during his junior year. Did very well in the college league, as they call it, Cape Cod, and eventually was signed by the Yankees in 2006. Made it to the Yankees in 11, and then moved over to the Giants. George Contos, fastball, slider, change, and a curveball. Ellis 0 for 2, 1 out in the 7th inning. No runs, 3 hits for the Giants. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. Ground ball up the middle, Crawford. So 2 down in the 7th, and the batter will be Justin Sellers.
That's your shortstop, number 28, Justin Sellers.
Sellers fouled out and flied to right. You may remember early last year, Sellers made a play on a foul ball that carried him over the railing of the box seats beyond the Dodger dugout. He took an awful crash and crawl and fall on the seats, staggered back up and continued to play, but then his back kicked out and he was out for over 100 games. Then coming to spring training, the Dodgers figuring on Hanley Ramirez, and then all kinds of things happening to Hanley. 0-1. Ramirez was going to play shortstop. Instead, he was injured in winter ball. Then when he went to play for the Dominican and the World Baseball Classic, Jose Reyes was the shortstop. And then to really wreck things, Ramirez got hurt and he's on the DL. Bad thumb. So Sellers out of nowhere. D. Gordon figured, well, he was in line, but he didn't hit enough. So they sent Gordon out to play every day, and Justin has a shot. Now it's a question of whether the Dodgers are the buyers. 2-2. Be interested to see Ryu pitch tomorrow night. The big boy from South Korea will go up against Madison Bumgarner. And unless you've traveled over to Arizona, no one has seen him pitch. Briefly in Anaheim. And that's lifted to center. Very playable for Pagan. So Cantos comes in. It's Greek to the Dodgers. 1-2-3. And at the end of 7, no score. Quick look at a couple of other scores. Washington beat Miami 2-0. Bryce Harper homered in his first 2 at-bats. The Nationals picked up the win behind Steven Strasburg. Meanwhile, in another game, Jeff Samardzija of the Cubs struck out 9 in 8 innings, and the Cubs beat the Pirates 3-1. Pittsburgh will be here on the weekend. The Mets knocked off San Diego 11-2. Brandon Belt has struck out and popped up. No balls and 1 strike. One and one. We told you 93 pitches. That was enough for Matt Cain. We'll watch the pitch count. It's 73 right now for Clayton Kershaw. Good curveball. Wow. Boy, it is early to see a curveball like that. And you can understand Belt backing out. And I mean, that was humming coming up to the plate. Down he goes. So Kershaw picks up his 6th strikeout. Take another look at it. One breaking ball after another. So 6 Ks. Remember, Kane struck out 8. So we've had 14 strikeouts in the game as Matt takes in the action from the bench. Andres Torres, switch hitter, fly to center, grounded to third, 0 for 2. Off speed, ball 1. Torres from New Jersey, but lives in Puerto Rico. Went to school at Miami-Dade Community College. He runs very well, so if he gets on base, he poses a serious threat. Torres said he developed speed without even having shoes for many years. One and two. Andres had quite a career. The Tigers signed him back in 1998. It's like the 4th time he has gone and returned to the Giants. He was with the Giants first time in 09, left them, came back in 010, left them, came back in 11, left them. Now he is 2013. Making sure that A.J. Ellis is okay, blocking those pitches like that. Ran up and hit him right under the mask. I remember Steve Yeager had a leather piece attached to protect his Adam's apple and throat. 2 and 2. Little ground ball. Gonzalez to the bag. 2 down. You know, be at Dodger Stadium for all the exciting action. You can have a Dodger mini plan. Choose from bobblehead nights, rivalry matchups, or your preferred day of the week. Tickets start at $11 a game. Visit Dodgers.com/mini plans or speak to a season ticket rep today. 323 Dodgers. Brandon Crawford is the hitter, and Jeremy Affeldt is down in the Giant bullpen. And that's ball 1. So if they get anything going, they'll hit for Contos. Out on deck is Hector Sanchez, who's a switch hitting catcher. 1-1. It will be interesting for the Dodgers, thinking of pitch count and the fact that Kershaw will lead off for the Dodgers. In the bottom of the 8th, he's made 82 pitches. Change, and he missed. Oh, it was so close. Crowd groans. 2-1. Brandon Crawford grounded out, struck out, 0 for 2. Full house on a beautiful day. Fastball, a strike. Kershaw with 6 strikeouts. Do I hear 7? So down go the Giants, and we're heading for the bottom of the 8th inning. No score. It is brought to you by your SoCal Ram dealers. Visit ramtrucks.com today. By Time Warner, enjoy all the things you love better. Call Time Warner Cable at 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by your SoCal Toyota dealers. No score, bottom of the 8th inning. Now the pitch count when Matt Cain had 93, Cain came out. Kershaw, leading off the inning, has made 85 pitches, but there was no doubt he went right to the bat rack, got the helmet and the bat. Now the ball thrown in the Dodger bullpen. Half fell through briefly, but Cantos is still on the mound. So here we are, bottom of the 8th inning. And Kershaw followed by Crawford and Ellis. And a high fly ball to center. Pagan going back. It's over his head. It's over the fence. They want him to take a curtain call, but Cantos pitches a strike. Clayton Kershaw has just hit his first major league home run and knocked Los Angeles on its ear. That's going to go down the line in the corner. Fair ball. Crawford on his way into second, standing with a double. So the Dodgers lead 1-0. Now try to add to that. But what a dramatic, electrifying moment as Clayton Kershaw got a fastball, hit it dead center, and Pagan just ran out of real estate. So Crawford at second base is 2 for 4. To look ahead now just for the moment. When the Giants come up, they will have a hitter for the pitcher, then Pagan and Scutaro, and if anybody gets on, Sandoval. With Ellis up there, the Giants are looking bunt. He shows bunt. Ball 1. Clayton Kershaw just trying to calm down now. I'm sure that took a lot out of him just to run around the bases. The bunt, smothered, dropped off the mitt. No play. Everybody safe at first and third. And now Bruce Bochy would appear to have had his hand forced. The bunt in the air, Buster can't hold it. And runners at first and third. It will go as a base hit, so near and yet so far. So a home run, a double, and a bunt single. And as Bochy changes pitchers, we'll be back. Goodyear. Goodyear, more driven. Santiago Casilla has been brought in, a hard-throwing right-hander from the Dominican, who was originally signed 13 years ago by the Oakland A's. He will be 33, even 6, 220-pounder, and he will be facing Matt Kemp. Casilla and Kemp, Matt is 1 for 6 against him in the past, and as far as the game today, Matt's drawn the collar 0 for 3. So first and third, Mark Ellis and Carl Crawford, nobody out, and the Dodgers leading thanks to Clayton Kershaw's glove and bat. Kershaw now, after sitting down, has finally relaxed enough to get up on the railing. Casilla was in 73 games with the Giants last year and had a good ERA, 2.8. That sprayed foul upstairs. Good fastball. 0-1. Casilla last year was brilliant at home. When he was relieving at AT&T Park, his ERA was about 1.7, but out on the road it was about 5. 0-1. In the dirt, nice save by Posey. 1-1. Boy, this is not just an opening day game. I mean, this is the kind of a game you see in a playoff and certainly in the World Series. 1-1 to Matt Kemp. Casilla is a strikeout pitcher. Last year, 63 innings. He struck out 55. Crawford down the line from third. Ellis away from first. Nobody out. Kershaw leads off the inning with a home run. In the dirt, another nice block by Posey. To repeat, when the Giants come up in the 9th inning, they will have the pitcher spot, then Pagan and Scutaro, with Sandoval due up if anybody gets on. We saw Hector Sanchez, the backup catcher, who was on deck to hit for Cantos and never had the chance. Two balls, two strikes. Light breeze blowing left to right. In the dirt, scrambling, gets away. Crawford to the plate to score. Down to second, Ellis. And the Dodgers lead 2-0. So unless we hear otherwise, it will be a wild pitch to bring the run home, advancing Ellis to second base. Meanwhile, a full count now on Matt Kemp. Carl Crawford having brought in the run following his double. Kemp now trying to cash in the wild pitch. Down he goes for ball 4. And Bruce Bochy now with the left-hand hitting Gonzalez due up, followed by the left-hand hitting Andre Ethier. He'll go to the pen, maybe Affeldt, and we'll be back. So the Dodger lead is 2-0. And here's the way they have played offensively. They were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, but they got that boost by Clayton Kershaw clearing the center field fence, and then the double, the squib single in front of the plate, and the wild pitch for the second run. So the Giants suddenly down to their fourth pitcher, from Kane to Cantos, who's charged with 2 runs, to Casilla, who gave up the walk, and now Affeldt brought in to pitch to Adrian Gonzalez. Affeldt and Gonzalez. Adrian is 5 for 20 against him, batting .250. Mark Ellis at second base. Matt Kemp at first. Jeremy Affeldt out of Phoenix, lives in Medical Lake, Washington. Look out, hitting. And the bases are loaded. So 2 Dodgers hit today. Mark Ellis in the first inning, and now Gonzalez in the 8th to load up the bases for Andre Ethier. Andre today struck out, single to the hole at short, struck out again. So the Dodgers with the bases loaded, Ellis, Kemp, and Gonzalez, and that's ball 1. In case you wonder, Ethier has had 4 grand slams, hit one last year in Seattle. Two and 0 the count. At third base, you have Mark Ellis. At second, Matt Kemp. And at first, Adrian Gonzalez. Little roller. Scutero's only play is to first. Everybody moves up 90 feet, and the Dodgers take a 3-0 lead. So it's an RBI for Andre. Run brought home by Mark Ellis. That run is charged to Cantos, so he's charged with all 3 runs. That little ground ball, remember, only the first out of the inning. And with first base open, they're going to walk Cruz intentionally, and that'll bring up A.J. Ellis. So Affeldt has come in to hit a batter, get a ground ball, now walk intentionally, and for Bruce Bochy, going through the struggles of a manager on opening day. One thing I'm sure, although he's not thinking about it statistically, but the Giants have trouble scoring a lot of runs, even though they were the world's champions. We told you they had only 103 home runs last year. But of course, the Dodgers in 1965 won a world's championship and hit only 78 home runs. And would you believe the St. Louis Cardinals in 1982 were the world champions, and they hit only 67 home runs. Well, that's not always the big weapon. So here is AJ. The last time we saw him in this kind of a spot was the other night with the Angels, and he hit a grand slam. Little ground ball wide to third. Sandoval in a hurry, gets the out, and another run scores. That one brought in by Matt Kemp. So AJ gets an RBI. Kemp brings it in. That run is charged to Cantos. Now we can close the book on him. So here's the ninth man to come up in the inning. Justin Sellers fouled out, fly to right, fly to center, and Sellers has runners at second and third. Gonzalez and Cruz. And a strike. Four to nothing Dodgers, bottom of the eighth inning. The Dodgers spurred on and electrified by the leadoff home run, the first of his career, by Clayton Kershaw. To repeat, when the Giants come up in the ninth inning, they'll have a hitter for Affeldt, then Pagan and Scutaro, and if anybody gets aboard, Pablo Sandoval. Two and one. So Jeremy Affeldt, whose dad was an Air Force captain and a bombardier, accustomed to dropping the bombs, and it's the Dodgers who have dropped a couple of bombs here in the eighth inning. Two and one. Hit in the air down the right field line, out of play. Jose Majares, a left-hander, begins to throw down in the Giant bullpen. Affeldt will be 34 in June. Two balls, two strikes. Fastball in the dirt, swung on and missed. 9 men come to the plate. 4 of them get home, led by Clayton Kershaw's home run. And we're going to the ninth. 4-0 Dodgers. Waiting 11 years. Join the millions of fans and subscribe today. Watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB TV Premium. So visit MLB.tv today. Baseball everywhere. Joaquin Arias will be the batter to hit for Jeremy Affeldt. So Arias will lead it off as the Giants trying to recover, and the Dodgers take a 4-0 lead. There are the illustrious names, and you can note Don Drysdale did it twice. And Arias at the plate. And a strike. One other thing, as we look at Joaquin Arias, basically an infielder from Santo Domingo in the Dominican. He was involved in a deal where his name was forgotten. He was involved in a deal in 2004 that invited two other players. Pop fly into shallow, one away. The two other players were Alfonso Soriano and Alex Rodriguez. So one out in the ninth inning. We certainly would like to thank Goodyear for all of today's marvelous aerial pictures that added so much to the joy of the game. Clayton Kershaw has his first career home run today. He has 8 career complete games. 2 of the 8 against the Giants. Knocked down and no play. Though Mark Ellis unable to handle it, it'll go as a base hit. So Pagan a single, and the batter is Scutaro. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Brandon League now begins to loosen up. For Clayton Kershaw, 89 pitches. And of course, both pitchers knew opening day pitch count would be so important. If you weren't with us, they lifted Matt Cain after 93 pitches. Fastball, first ball swinging. High foul to A.J. Ellis, but look out for Cruz. It was Cruz who hollered him off the ball. That was good thinking on Cruz's part, because he knows Pagan runs well, and he also knew that A.J. had his back to the play. So he just took it in his own hands. See, A.J. can't see the runner, and Cruz says, no, let me catch it and I'm ready. So a heads-up play. 2 down, ninth inning. Dodgers lead 4-0, and a nearly delirious crowd ready to roar to the heavens, and all because of Clayton Kershaw. Big, slow curveball for a strike. 91 pitches. Sandoval, single to center, grounded to third, single to center, but listen to the beauty of the roar. Interesting, too, about Kershaw, his first career home run. It might be his 3rd complete game of his career against the Giants, and his 2nd shutout of 5 would be against the Giants. So you have to believe Clayton truly rises to the occasion. 1-2 to Pablo Sandoval. Slow curveball hit even slower. Cruz gloves, throws, gets him.